Every professional athlete has got to be confident. You got to go out in the field and know you're one of the best in the world to do what you do. That was not a problem for Dre Bly. This guy knew he was the best. He was one of the best in the NFL when he played. But when he stopped playing, that attitude carried over to his family life, and it cost him dearly. But his walk with the Lord and his journey helped him fix all of that.
Because I was playing with a chip on my shoulder, it kind of hurt me. People would say I was arrogant, right? I had a little air about me. I met my wife in college. We were married for 20 years, and we took a break. It was a struggle for me when I retired a little bit, because of me trying to figure out what was next. You pick up bad habits.
Let's jump right into this. Biggest question on a relatable journey is, how did you come to God? How did you realize God existed? He was there in your relationship with him. How'd that start? What was that moment like?
Well, basically, I was raised in a way where God was important. I grew up in a church home where Christ matters. Just that was part of my everyday routine was, God. And I went to church every Sunday. My mom and dad, it was like an old fashioned, Christian home. And so I just knew from day one that that this was going to be um, very important in my life. And I just stuck with it. Like when you raise it, it's hard to get away from the things that that's important. And that's pretty much how it was for me. And a big part of my journey and the success that I've had has come through the blessings of my parents and the blessings and of family members and me going to church. And so I'm forever grateful and realize that if it wasn't for those blessings and prayers, I wouldn't be sitting here right now having this conversation with you right now.
I'm always curious how big time athletes, when they're in the spotlight and they got, 70,000 people chanting their name. Social media wasn't huge when you played, probably for the better, but
Yeah.
when you have that and the world is telling you to have all the women, to have everything the world tells you is popular, like the richer you get, the better. And then you have your biblical principles. How do you kind of weigh those, balance those, and how much of a struggle is that for you, or was it?
Well, you just relate back to your core value. You weigh all your pros and cons of the things that's important, and you try to stick to it. And so, but I think sticking to your core values is very, very important. And that's what I tried to stick to throughout my career and even today.
Was there anything throughout your playing career where you just had you had a heck of a career, a two-time Pro Bowler, all pro, 43 interceptions, I think.
43.
Yep.
Yep.
So surely it wasn't all great. So was
Nah.
there a moment when you were at your lows where God played a really pivotal role or moment for you?
Yeah, we all go through struggles throughout our career, throughout our journey, and that's the other thing with which make what I'm doing right now a blessing and so enjoyable for me is that I can tell my story and help these kids learn from my mistakes, the mistakes of my peers, and have a chance to be better than us, right? I think that's we all play the game and we all do what we do to try to be better than what the guys did it before us. And so, the guys that I coach today, I want those guys to be better than me. But saying all of that, we all had some hurdles that we had to get over. And I had some in high school, had some in college, had some professionally. And, you just try to live. And the one thing I tell kids today, I think, what people struggle with, even now is opening up and talking. And I was, a high profile athlete where at one point in my life, I felt like that you couldn't tell me anything. And I wouldn't listen to certain people and I knew it all. Right. And that was the worst probably thing that the worst skill set that I developed over the course of, over the years and being an athlete was being a person that didn't listen much. Right. And for you to understand and learn and to realize what was important, you had to fall. And I fell a couple of times. And so those were some struggles that, some things I had to deal with and I dealt with it. And it's a blessing to see where I am today. And everybody, it's all different levels. of some of the things that we deal with in our journey, right? Some people um, stress or obstacles that they got to overcome are a little bit higher or steeper than the next, but we still like nobody journey has been golden, right? And so, but yeah, man, like I feel like my journey and what I'm doing today, God has put me in a position to be able to mentor kids and give back, and I love doing what I do.
How do you intertwine your faith today with being a coach? Because football coaches today are much more than X's and O's and football coach. I mean, you guys are father figures to many of these kids. So you have to have a moral standard. You have to have a compass. You can't just be their buddy and just another one of the dudes at times, because you got to be there for them. How do you kind of use God in your relationship with him, with these relationship with these kids?
Well, I think prayer is very important, and for the ones that have faith, if you have faith and if you were raised in it, I think it's always good and important to go back to what helped you get to what has helped you get to the point that you are today. And so those are some of the things that I really emphasize with my kids, is having faith, setting goals, right? And then when you set these goals, you figure out how can you accomplish these goals, and realizing some of the things that can help you accomplish these goals. And so prayer is very important, right? Finding somebody that you can talk to daily, whether it's your chaplain, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, but just figuring out somebody that you can open up to. And whether it's writing, you can open up to a book and you writing down some of your thoughts, whether it's reading, but figuring out what that is, that coping mechanism, that you need, that can help you get through some of the trials and tribulations that we face as men. But I think it's very, very important, man. And so the biggest thing with me is, being able to be ears, right? Because sometimes all we need to do is just talk and be able to express some of the, things that we're going through and struggling with. And so I try to be that for my young men, for my players, being ears, a sounding board where they can sound off some of the things that they're struggling with, but also being a counselor as well, where I can, relate some of my experiences and some of my peers and just wisdom, just with living and seeing some of the things that I've seen, where I can help those kids as well. And so, we play many different roles as a coach, and I love it. I love it. I love it dearly, man. I got 5 kids. I got 4 boys and a girl, but growing up in a family that I grew up in kind of have prepared me for where I am today.
How do you guys handle faith in God and religion in your locker room?
Well, you can't force a kid to
Right.
pray. You can't force religion
No.
upon a player. What you try to do, you try to surround them and educate them on the various things that they need to be educated on. But also as a team, we have a faith oriented team, but you don't have to participate. And if you don't participate, that doesn't mean that you're not our teammate. We all believe in different things. We have different people we praise and worship, and with all due respect, you have to respect it and honor it, and you support them. And as long as they understand and respect what you believe, then I think everybody can get along and focus on the one task at hand, which is to win the game.
And I mean, prayer and faith in the Bible is all about love anyway. It's not about parceling out you over here, you're different than I am. It's not about anything like that. It's about love and including everybody. Have you ever had a player come up to you and be like, I want to learn more about your faith. I kind of want to learn more about this. I wasn't raised this way, but I like this. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, like so when I was in Detroit, and I was more involved there. Josh McCown, who was my teammate. He lives in Charlotte, and he coached in Myers Park, and John Kittner. They were more so the guys that ran the operation in Detroit, who put together the players, the couples Bible study, and got more involved. And so because of what we had in the locker room, you had younger players asking questions and wanted to be more involved, and so what we were doing felt like it was a blessing what we were doing. But this is the thing, man, like people gonna ask questions. You got some guys that's not believers. You're gonna have some guys, I had teammates that They didn't believe anything. You know what I mean? And we had debates in the locker room, and it would be funny, and because everybody believe what they believe, and they gonna support and argue to the, that's the one thing that we do. It don't matter if we're on the field, we compete. And we compete in all fashions, and we compete in faith as well, and what we believe and what we don't believe. And so, but it became, it became fun. But for the most part, still, you want to try to educate each other on what we know, and if they don't agree with you, you try to ask why they don't agree and try to see why they think what they think. But for the most part, man, I think the biggest thing with us is the fact that we're interacting, right? And we conversing and having conversation. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's some of the struggles that we have in this world, comes from us not having conversations, right? Having the difficult conversations. And so I think by us being able to discuss and have difficult conversations, I think that makes the bonding and us being teammates so much more better.
That was my favorite part of a locker room. I mean, obviously game day was what was up, but the best part about the locker room is you would talk to dudes that you would never necessarily hang out with, and then you'd become friends, but then you'd also have conversations that people would look at you if you had those conversations outside the locker room and be like, you guys can't talk about that. Like, do you
Right,
guys even like each other? Like what's going
right,
on
right.
here?
Like if you can't talk in the locker room, you can't talk. And so, and that's the thing, politics, religion, relational, we gonna get down to the nitty gritty and talk about it, which is pretty cool.
The only way that you talk about money is if the richest guy doesn't tip or take anybody out. That's the only
Right,
way,
right,
right?
right.
So how's your relationship with God evolved from your time with like the Lions and the Rams and your playing days to where you are today? How's that arc and that journey look? What's that look like? What you've learned and how you've changed?
My relationship with God is, it can always be better. Um, I'm always looking to learn more and trying to figure out ways to learn more and to do more. I go to church. I'm a guy. I'm a more of a visual guy, right? So I like to be in church. I like to hear music.
Mhm.
I love to worship. That's the way I worship. I always can read more, and which that's the biggest challenge right now with me coaching and time and recruiting. But my faith is it hasn't faltered any. My family, my kids, we go to church. My wife, she's a Christian marriage counselor. So like the faith is strong, bro. And we pray together as a family. Everything we do, we live by is based on, what the Bible says. Now the faith is strong in the Bly household.
I can look at my life journey and my career and finding my fiance, and there's these moments where I question things or I pray to God. I'm like, hey, I need an answer. And there's times where he's just like, I mean, it's like a smack right in the face, and it is clear
Right.
that it's not like he's talking to me like I can hear him. At least I don't hear voices like that, but he communicates with me, and especially more when I'm in the Word. Have you ever had those, like a moment, like a story like that you can tell us?
I mean, a lot of times you're faced with uh, things that come up, right? Whether it's, I met my wife in college. We've been married for we were married for 20 years, and we took a break over a couple of years ago, and now we back together. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh boy.
over the course of the years, we've been dating since we were 19 years old, 5 kids, 20 years old, and so you face a lot of things in your life that come up, and with me being a professional athlete, it's just a lot of different things that come up. Like when I retired, going through life after football, trying to figure out what was next. She went back to school. We flip flop roles, right? I was a stay at home dad, coaching high school, and so but that 8 to 5 in the afternoon was a struggle for me trying to figure out, because I'm a man of structure. I'm a man of, I need a purpose, right? And by me going from working and having a task in hand every day playing football, it was a struggle for me when I retired a little bit, trying to figure out what was next. And so, because of me trying to figure out what was next, you pick up bad habits. And so that was, it was a time in my life when I got done playing with football. And I think most of us struggle, or it's different levels of it, and we all deal with it differently. It's all different ways you handle struggle, right? But it was things that came up during that time where I had to figure out, okay, like, is this really what it is? Is this best for me to do this? Is it best for me to do that? And then you got to revert back to your core values of what's really important. I got 5 kids. I got a wife. I was raised this way, that way. So that kind of helped you, get through some of the things that you need to get through. You just relate back to the things that's important, the things that matters. I got 4 boys, 20, 18, 16. My daughter's 14. My baby boy is 11. And so they're watching everything that we do. They're watching every step. And then one thing for me that mattered, I wanted to be seen. I want my kids. I want to be a great father. I want to set a great example for my young men that I have, and I love my daughter more than anything. You know what I'm saying? So showing her what a man is really about, and the things that come with with me being who I am, and so those things matter to me. And so at the end of the day, I don't care what comes about. Raising my 5 kids and me being a great man, which implies with being a great husband. Because if I'm not a great husband, I'm not a good father, right? And so all that stuff matters. Like I work for Mac Brown. Mac Brown's a Hall of Fame coach. I'm a Hall of Fame player. I'm one of his most decorated players of all time. And so he did me a favor by hiring me uh, because he knew I was prepared, and he's been following my journey, and he's been one of my biggest mentors. So it means everything to me to make sure I set a great example for my coach. So all of those things matter to me, man. I think it all ties together.
When you went through your separation with your wife, and I want to ask this because no doubt somebody who's watching or listening to Relatable Journey right now is going through the struggles. So I want them to get some help. I want to use our struggles for them to get the help. So how did God play a role in that moment for you in that during that time of period?
I mean, you got 5 kids, right? And you
Yep.
was raised a certain way. For the both of us, um, you know, we love our kids dearly, and but also we loved each other dearly as well. Like, and I think he's understanding that we had to co-parent, right? That was the most important thing. Uh, so we started with that, making sure we were great parents to our kids. And then secondly, we had to be friends to be able to be co-parents, right? And so I think that started with that. And then also for me, I had to I had to some of the things I think that was important for me, I had to accept the fact that we could go this way, right? And the same with her. We had to let go for us to come back together, right? And the pandemic was a blessing for me. For some people, it hurt those guys, because they found out more things about one another. But the pandemic helped me and my family situation. Um, I was able to go home when COVID hit, and we were together, and we became good friends. We became best friends, and which we never really, I don't think, established that bond. We love one another, but we started dating at an early age, and I was Dre Bly, the superstar football player here at the University of North Carolina, and she was on the dance team. And so, like, because of who I was at that age, I didn't allow myself to open up, right? I loved it dearly, but I just didn't allow myself to open up because I was set on doing what I need to do to be great, to be a good football player, right? And so I had to let that go, right? As well. Like, I've been a football player my whole life. I'm tired of being a football player. Like, I'm ready for something else. And so as far as making new friends, opening up, talking, having different conversations. All my friends are football players, so I had to be willing to change. I learned how to be by myself, and not, I've always been the center of attention throughout my whole life, and I embraced it. I have an outgoing personality. I'm a social butterfly. I don't bite my words. Like, that's me. And we became great friends, and really, like, we in a great place. We're dating again, and I'm excited about the direction that we're headed.
Man, bless both of you guys. Just keep it going. I've no doubt that you guys will work it out. I mean, how can you not be drawn to this personality that we got here right now? But what's your message to anybody listening to or watching to the Relatable Journey right now that you want them to learn and take away from your journey?
But don't be afraid to take a couple of steps back. And even if you got to take more than 2 steps back, be willing. I couldn't have gotten to where I am today if I wasn't willing to take a few steps back. And what came with me taking a few steps back, I was willing to talk about my problems, some of the things I was struggling with. I wasn't afraid that I needed help. You know what I'm saying? I had to accept some blame, right? And that's half of the problem with us men, strong men, right? We don't want to look in the mirror and realize that, we need to make changes. Because I was willing to do all those things, I've been able to grow. And I love the direction I'm heading in right now, man. And I'm still, even now, I still haven't arrived, right? I'm still talking and opening up to folks and a lot of times as men, we think counseling is bad, right?
Yeah, we
Counseling
think
has,
it's weakness. We think it's
yeah,
bad.
no, and trust me, the one thing I didn't want to do is talk to another man, another man about my problems, right? And then get advice from another man on what I need to do to fix my problems. That was the one thing that I didn't want to do 15 years ago, right? But it's been the best thing for me. And so I really encourage people to be willing to talk and to open up to folks, because I really think that helps. We all deal with
Fellowship.
depression. Yeah, fellowship,
God
man.
tells
Like,
us that my devotional today was about, if you want forgiveness, you talk to God. If you want to move on and feel better and relieve that guilt, you got to talk to somebody else. God tells us we have to tell our mistakes and our sins to other people.
so opening up is big. Talking, hearing, like speaking out, right? Hearing yourself say it. I think that's more powerful than anything. And I also grew when I was able to tell my kids, right? Tell them, why mom and dad wasn't working out at the time. And to me, it was painful, but I wanted to let them know that mom and dad wasn't perfect, right? And mom or dad made a mistake, And so yeah, so that was the best part about it for me, man. And right now, man, I'm shining, man, and I'm gonna continue to shine through doing the things I did to help get me here.
So it sounds like, and it's fair to say, that old Dre Bly needed, got, and used an old-fashioned ego check to get
Ain't
where
no doubt.
today. And
Yes,
thank good, and God used it.
yes, sir. No, and that's truth, man. Like, and part of what made me who I was 20 years ago kind of hurt me, right? And I think that's the thing, and I tell people this as an athlete, sometimes it get the best of you, right? And but you have to be that way to make it, And I wasn't raised in a bad area, but to compete against some of the best guys I was competing against from the 757 from Virginia Beach, where I'm from, you had to, have your blinders up and think a certain way, right? And we're in a way that it didn't allow me to be. It just wasn't healthy for me in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, like I'm excited, man, about where I'm headed, man, and I give all the praise to the man above for the growth that I've that I've had
It's
in the
so crazy
last 2 or 3
because
years.
while you're at the top of the world's mountain, the world thinks you're the best, and that's probably when you were unhappiest the most, I would imagine. Versus where you are now, you have an ego check. The world says, "Yo, what's up with Dre Bly?" And Dre Bly is better off now, more confident now, more in control now, and happier now than ever before. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, ain't no doubt, man. Like I love the man that I look at, every day. Because, again, I'm changing lives, man. I'm changing lives. I can tell my story to kind of help mold somebody else's. And but yeah, I feel good, man. And I'm confident. Like I had a little air about me. Like if you ask my wife about me in college or my younger days in the NFL, people would say I was arrogant, right? I had a little air about me. I was with Torrey Holt the other day. Torrey's one of my best friends, and his wife couldn't stand me in college, right? She hated me. And she told her kids that, yeah, they call me Uncle Dre. Say, Uncle Dre, yeah, I heard you was arrogant back in the day. And it was like I had to be. Like that's just what it was. And but it also helped me form into the man I was to be able to do for my family the way I did for them. But now I'm completely different, man. And I would say I have more. I'm wiser. I'm confident, but it's a different level of it.
So what do you tell your kids that you're coaching today? Like, hey, listen, have that confidence, go out there. If you make a mistake, forget it, move on, be confident in your abilities. At the same time, don't be the dude that I was.
Because of my confidence, I think it kind of hurt me some towards the end of my NFL career, because I had experienced success at an early age, right? I was, had a lot of success my first couple of years in college, even my last year, 3-time All-American. So I feel like I always played with a chip on my shoulder and had a lot to prove. And, went to St. Louis, won the Super Bowl my first year, and then go from there to Detroit. And then I became a Pro Bowl caliber player there and had a lot of success. And so towards the end of my career, because I always played with a chip on my shoulder, it kind of hurt me in a sense. And I wasn't the best vet that I should have been at year 11 or year 12. Because we had so much success, when we get older, we don't turn the page on ourselves and accept the role that the league have for us. And so I was cut by Jim Schwartz in year 12. This was 2010. And I was good. The year before with the San Francisco 49ers, I led the team in picks. But I got cut the next year by the Lions, and the Lions weren't good. And I didn't get picked up after I got cut because, one, I think, like most GMs don't want to deal with high-profile vets. They'd rather settle with a younger guy that's cheaper and that's good in the locker room. And so if I would have been a better vet, been more like a teacher then, accepted the role that they have for me, then I probably could have played a couple more years. But that experience in itself kind of helped me in how I mentor kids, coach, and helping the kids understand the bigger picture, right? Helping these kids learn from my mistakes. I think I'm telling you, like what I'm called to do right now, man, I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to do more of it.
It's like the quintessential saying that, everyone says about God. God, not everything happens for a reason. It's a misconception, but God can use everything that happens for good. And so anything that you went through in your struggles, he's now using for good to help teach the next generation, these kids, man. So keep it up. I have no doubt you're going to make it to whatever level you want to go to. I know you just want to be the best at whatever it is you're doing right now. I know that about you, but you'll go to the next level, whatever that is for you, bro. I appreciate you popping on Relatable Journey today, dude.
I appreciate that, Will, man. And this is great what you're doing, man. I inspire you to keep going, bro. Keep doing what you do, man, because I'm telling you, man, you're going to change somebody's life. So I'm glad that I can play a part of that with you, man, and God bless you, bro.
Thank you for joining us on a Relatable Journey today. Now we need your help. We want to get this in front of as many people as possible. In order to do that, we got to please the algorithms on all these platforms. This is how it works. You got to follow or subscribe on your platform and then leave a 5-star rating and write a review. I know it can be a lot, but please help us out with this. Because of you, this is a relatable journey.